We're speaking today with Kathy Miller and Kathy Crawford, and better known now as Katherine Horswell and Kathleen Pearson. And I would like to know how you two first met.
I'm not sure we know that.
I don't think we know that.
We
Go
were,
on.
We were very small. I moved onto the same block as Catherine when I was 2 years old, and she was 2 years old. And at some point, our mothers discovered that they had two little girls the same age and let us play with one another. And it just went on from there.
And then we lived so close to each other, just 4 houses down the alley. And so the alleyway was easy for us to run up and down the alley to our back doors,
Yes.
which was great. We didn't have to go around the block. We had an alley.
Yes, and of course then we went to school together. So we walked to school together every morning and walked home together every afternoon. And Catherine is laughing because
She made me late to school almost every day of my grade school career. And the reason is why?
because it's my mother's fault.
No,
it's not my
no.
mother's fault. Because my mother fixed me hot cereal for breakfast in the morning, and I was so pokey getting dressed that by the time I would get to the breakfast table, my cereal would be cold, but I had to eat it anyway. So I thought that it would be easier the longer I waited. I don't know. She always still made me eat the whole thing, but it took forever.
But that's not. I mean, after the cereal was done, there was the tall glass of milk
Warm milk.
that sat there, and then she would only drink when I would say green light. And then I mean, she'd be drinking and she'd look like this. And then I'd go red light. She'd stop, put it down. So then I'd say green light, and then she'd drink again. And I mean, you know, sometimes she didn't want to drink at all, but we had to have her drink it all. And then we'd rush out the front door,
Yes.
and dash to school. It was, and they blame me, I'm sure.
Well, you
See,
said one of your teachers did tell you later.
Miss Lavin came and she was substituting at Park Row Senior High where my husband taught. I came into the faculty lounge and she said, "Oh, little Kathy Miller." And then she proceeded to tell the entire bunch of people how I was late to school, I talked so much, I did all this, and her only experience was, she didn't give Kathleen any credit for it.
Because I was always wonderful and perfect.
Yeah, right. Not.
You had to get in trouble. What did you two do to get in trouble?
Well, we never got really caught getting into trouble for anything, although we did get
Oh.
lost in the woods one time.
Well,
That was a little scary.
but we never got really caught, no. But we did put, what did we do to that person? And we got their hair wet, or we did something
person?
and she ran home and told her mother.
Which person
Well,
was
it was a girl, and I can't remember
Was it
who
Carol
it
Lee
was.
Kaiser?
It might have been Carol Lee
I can't
Kaiser.
remember anybody else we would
Oh,
have picked
yes.
on.
We picked on her.
Yes, we had a little girl down the street. She was a very chubby little girl.
Oh.
And her parents owned a tavern, which our parents really didn't approve of. And she would try to buy all the kids' friendship, because she always seemed to have an unlimited supply of change to
Right.
buy us milkshakes and things at the drugstore that we could never afford to
Oh,
go get
no.
ourselves.
And this, a dream come true. Talk to me.
But we were not very nice to her.
No.
And if we had it to do at this age, we would have been nicer to her. We would have just found an excuse and not had anything to do with her.
But that's true. That's true. But now, we did get in trouble for talking.
Yes.
That was our worst thing. and we did, I think that the safety patrol, we used that little room up there sometimes. You know, we were on the safety patrol, and sometimes we were on it at the same time. And you got to hang up your flag and take off your little coat and
And
all,
your belt.
and your belt, and it was right across from the principal's office.
Yes.
A good place for it. But we stayed in there a little, sometimes too long, chatting.
We also used to ask the armored cars for free samples. It's a wonder they never reported that to the school. They were mostly amused by it, I think. And we thought it only had to work once.
Well, and I told Kathleen this story, which she didn't remember. One day we were coming home from playing tennis. We used to play tennis together down at what park?
Alberta Park.
At Alberta Park, and we'd ride our bikes down, and you know, carrying these big tennis rackets and all. And then we would play tennis, and of course I would always win, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, right. Interesting memory you have, Katherine.
No, I'm sure that I was close to winning a lot. No?
I think we were actually pretty even, and we rarely played as a game. We used to just like to hit it back and forth and practice a
And
lot.
see if we could hit it back and forth.
Yes.
But we noticed that other people just weren't half as good as we were.
That's
Some of
true.
those other people.
That's true.
So we did know we had some talent, tennis talent. I still play tennis today with my husband. Do you still play tennis?
I have. Not in the last year, but we do.
Well, see, so it's a lifelong thing. But anyway, on the way home from the tennis place, we stopped in at the store, and it was a hot day. And Kathleen has no memory of this.
I don't.
But we went
None.
by you know how it's so nice and cool by the vegetable bins, you know, the cool air just comes out. And I distinctly remember that each of us had 2 cherries from there. Ah!
Oh, the
But
shame.
I know it's a shameful thing.
It
but
is.
But when we got to the door, we both felt so guilty about eating those,
Overwhelmed with guilt.
totally, that we went back into the store and we straightened out every cherry, had them in the perfect little boxes, and I don't know what they thought had happened to their cherries, but they were perfect when we
Yeah.
left. -4.
Yes. So we had earned them by then.
Yes.
Apparently.
I
in
think
our
that's
little
what,
minds.
see, that's what we did penance for that particular thing. We always liked to ride our bicycles together too.
Yes, we
Now
did.
Kathleen was a much better bicycle rider than I
Well,
was.
I got mine later. You got yours younger, so you used to let me ride yours.
Yes, but
before I
mine
got
was
my
so
own.
big and we were so little. It was one of those old Columbia bicycles with the Columbia down here and then the little seat,
Shelf on the back.
the seat for someone to sit on, and also it had a light on it, which we could ride at night.
And you still have it, I understand.
And I do still have it, and someday I'm going to mount it somewhere. But it's a heavy bicycle, so you can imagine little girls, and it took all your strength standing up to ride that thing.
Yes.
But her bicycle was, I mean, I liked it better
Really?
because I could ride it
Do
easier.
you remember how I got mine?
Yes.
I had to have Mary Ann's permission
Mm-hmm.
because she hadn't had a bicycle. So I couldn't have one until she agreed. And then, not only that, I had to buy it from one of her best friends who was in high school and didn't want a bicycle anymore.
But so it all worked out. It
$10.
you know, it all worked out, and it was perfect. I remember our scooters and how your scooter was
Oh, yes.
far superior to mine. Hers had the larger wheels,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to scoot. We were just so good at scooting and skating too.
Roller skating.
Roller skating.
Clear around the block. Our sidewalks must have been in good repair because we could go clear around the block on our roller skates and round and round and round the block.
Right, and You know, I'm not. I tried roller skating as I was older, Kathleen,
Oh, really?
and I cannot do roller skating
Oh.
now. I don't know how I did it then, but probably not well.
Oh, I have been even here in town.
You have?
Yes.
Are you good?
No.
Oh,
I'm good as long as I'm going forward and not going too fast.
I'm only good when I hold on to someone. Then I am a total star. But if I am solo, I'm like this.
You know, Alberta Park was not the only place we did practice tennis, because we used to also practice out in the street in the evening.
Well, that's true. Yes.
That was one of the many things. We played lots of street games. We did, not actual baseball, but we'd play first bounce or fly
That's right.
and 500,
Yes.
and that's where you keep score of how many flies you catch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
First bounce or fly.
yes. And we played with other kids in the neighborhood. We had a lot
Oh.
of kids in the neighborhood.
And
Lots of games.
and we were sort of, I mean, you might call us sort of the ringleaders.
Well, we were the oldest.
And
I
so we had young boys, smaller in age
think. No,
and
but not necessarily that much smaller.
and stature too.
Yes,
they were
shorter.
smaller, and we could just do many things with them. I had a bird bath in my backyard that was made of old rocks, very precious rocks, and glass and everything. And it was just a lovely place. And we used to make them play marriage,
Yes.
which
Yes, we did.
was just practicing from then.
Well, we had bride dolls,
Yes,
so we just took it to the next level.
yes. And that's what Kathleen asked me just last night. She's taken me on this most marvelous, marvelous trip. I can't thank you enough, sweetheart, for taking me and sharing your coast, this beautiful southern Oregon coast, with me. I've gotten into all the little places only locals know, I'm sure. But she was telling me last night, she asked me what my favorite Christmas present was, and I just, boom, for a moment, I stopped, couldn't stop and think. And then I thought of my bride doll, that my mother had gotten a doll and it had a bride outfit. But my mother had meticulously
Beautiful.
made all the little coats, a little fur coat, and all these little dresses for this doll. And I don't even like dolls. I was fond of.
But you liked your Patsy doll.
Ooh. Oh, Patsy, I hope you never see this.
Patsy will never see this.
Oh, good. You know, I did not like Patsy much.
Tell them why.
I tell you, because I was jealous. I was
'Cause
jealous.
I had two best friends.
Oh, kills me now. The stabbing, you got me in the heart. I can't stand it. And
Who did I just go down the south coast with, and who is here staying in my house?
well, oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Keep the priorities in mind.
However, she did, while she was up at my house, we have just been to our 40th high school reunion from Grant High School, 1963, a good year.
Very good. Yeah.
And she kept calling Patsy. And ooh, those little old feelings just mounted up in me.
Well, tell me about
Well,
the
you-
Patsy doll.
Oh, the Patsy doll. Well, it was an older doll. Its arms and legs did move. It had painted hair on it, painted eyes, but its little mouth was open, sort of like this. See? And there's a little hole in there, like this. I fed it my poison berries. I just loved it. And then I would have to quickly wipe off the poison berries when I took it in the house, because my mother would have just died if she'd known I was feeding poison berries to a doll. She was sweet.
Especially if she knew that it was a Patsy
That's
doll.
right. Well, she knew it was a Patsy doll. I
Oh, but
named
she
it
thought
Patsy.
She thought it was a nice thing.
And
that you were doing.
sometimes I would just shake it like this. Patsy, Patsy, Patsy. So that's the truth.
Yes, it is.
And I can't help
And
it.
we were also in Bluebirds and Campfire Girls together. We
Let's
always
do
went
our
to camp.
sign.
I
Our
don't-
sign.
Oh,
Whoa. he, low. Work, health, love. Isn't that the greatest? We still know that. Ow!
It's right. Yes, and one time, both of our mothers went with, when our group went camping, we stayed in the Bluebird Lodge. I can't remember what it was called, at Camp Namanu.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up in the morning and I found what I thought was a practical joke, because it's something I would have done. But there was this mouse on the floor. And I picked up by the tail and I said, "Look, it's rubber," and ran all over showing it to everybody. And then I found out, no.
Oh.
Apparently that's how the tails of dead mice feel.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
I do, and that's maybe why when we were up at Camp Namana, sleeping on that porch,
In bunk beds.
in bunk
Were you on
beds.
the bottom?
Of course, I
thought
never
you
was
were
on the
afraid
top.
of the top.
I never could go on the top. I'm that way till today. I like the bottom.
And you talked in your sleep.
And I talked in my
You
sleep.
yelled in your sleep.
Yes.
And what she yelled was, "Mommy, Mommy, there's rats in the house."
See? And it all stems from Kathleen. Oh, look at a rubber mouse. And I just remember that.
Yes. We also went camping with my family.
Oh, weren't they, Mr. and Mrs. Crawford, wherever you are, I love you. They're just like my second parents, and they were so sweet to take me along because I'm sure I was not exactly, I didn't really eat all the stuff, but you know, you were there, so you had to eat.
That's all there was.
That's all there was, so I had to eat. I learned how to eat with Kathleen's family.
And yes, my children still talk about the salmon jello that my father fixed Jennifer one time.
Oh,
Apparently
gosh.
he had no plain jello to fix aspics, so he made lemon jello, because lemon and fish go together.
Oh, yes.
But lemon jello and fish
do
mixed together in a casserole.
Oh.
And she still says that's one of her memories of her grandfather. I'm sorry. But then I would travel with Kathleen's family too, and we would go.
I'm Katherine.
Catherine.
I
I'm
used
Kathleen.
I used to be Kathy, and you were also Kathy, i.e.
And why?
Mm-hmm.
But I would go with Catherine's family on trips, and we would mostly go to Rockaway,
Yes.
and there was this wonderful, huge natatorium.
Oh, yes. A natatorium is filled with salt water instead of fresh water, and so you have a little more buoyancy in this. And
Yes.
you and of course the worst part about it though is the eyes don't take too well to salt water, so we
Yes.
had to be careful about that. But it was the greatest. They had a little pool, and then they had the big pool,
And it was massive.
and it was just, these guys would dive. I mean, we would just stare at how they would do swan dives into this water. Weren't we just in awe?
Yes, yes, and it was a heated pool, which there were back in the 50s very few heated pools anywhere. And this had a fountain in the center, and they would heat the water and send it up through this giant fountain, and it would be so nice to go and stand under that.
Yes, because you know, as young people, sometimes it's cool. You get colder. I mean, I know that from my own son. You get cold when you're little. But I wanted to tell you also. Do you remember the steam rooms
No,
at that?
I don't
We
know.
would go into the steam rooms
With your mother.
Yes.
Yes, I
Into
do
the-
remember that.
And my mother, do you remember she wore glasses and her glasses would fog up? And so she'd have to take them off. She couldn't tell where we were. She couldn't tell anything. And it was so much fun. But those steam rooms took your breath away.
And then it would always be wash with warm, rinse with cold,
Right.
so that you would close your pores before you went back outside and trap the heat inside.
Right.
Now, I don't know that this is a true thing. I mean, if this really works.
I'm sure it is. It's got to be. That has to be a very good thing. Mothers don't tell things like that, do they?
But with the knowledge that was available in 1950, 55 or 54
Right.
may not be what they know about those kinds of things now.
That's true. And
It
also,
was the best knowledge available at the time.
yes, and but also now after we got out from the swimming pool, we would each get a quarter or something to go over to the fun area where we would play these games. And you know, I always fell for it. You know, there was a woman that sat there that went,
Fortune teller.
and you put in the change, and out would pop your fortune. And you know, I believed it. I believed whatever it said.
I think they made a whole movie about that.
The movie Big.
Oh.
Have you ever seen
No,
that?
I
with
have
Tom
never
Hanks?
seen that. I don't
It
go
is
to movies.
But this has been around for a very long time. It's very excellent. You would like it very much.
We'll have to rent it.
Yes.
A good thing. And aren't video cameras wonderful?
And then, one year I went with Catherine's family to Mount Rainier National Park, and we stayed at Paradise Lodge,
And
and we saw the movie. Well, we went wandering up the side of the mountain. We only saw the mountaintop once for a very short period of time. It was
clouds come and go.
fogged in the rest of the
there.
time.
Yeah.
But we still had a great time. There were wildflowers,
Oh,
and the
beautiful.
lodge was big, one of those big old lodges built during the 30s. And that at night they had entertainment for the guests, and we
Mhm.
saw the movie Blackboard Jungle, which is an
Really?
absolute classic now about
Isn't-
juvenile delinquency.
Oh,
And we were probably 6th, 7th grade, so it caught us just right at the right time to save us from that sort of
yeah,
thing.
because we would never do anything like that, and we were horrified,
Yes.
truly horrified, by what others did.
Hmm.
So it was good that it kept us on the right track.
So you too were the girls that are in every school that shake their fingers at the bad kids, huh?
No, not so much.
No.
No, that was my daughter that did that. Don't you show this to her.
No, we're never that way. As a matter of fact, both Kathleen and I, that's one thing. We had the first black teacher in the Portland Public School District.
Was our kindergarten
Was our
teacher.
kindergarten teacher.
Our very dearly beloved, very dearly beloved,
Mrs. Jordan.
sweetest woman in the world, Martha Jordan.
And so we kind of grew up not having a prejudice. We know that there are black people. We know that some black people are not good, just as there are not good white people, the white trash. and we don't have that kind of prejudice.
We also learned in kindergarten what you should not say. And at
That's
that
right.
time, you weren't supposed to say black,
See?
but now you are, or you were.
Well,
or
I
something.
said it wrong because I think it's Afro-American now, most probably. But I still say black because black is black.
Yeah. Anyway, she was a delightful woman. So we were in school together in kindergarten, and in 2nd grade we were in the lovely Miss Lavin's room,
Yes.
who
And
has
together.
such a high regard for Catherine.
Oh.
And
you know,
then,
I'm going to get that woman one day, really.
is she still living?
Oh, if she is, I
would
will
be
track her
surprised.
down.
She wasn't.
I mean,
she was fairly old even when we were in 2nd grade.
here I thought she loved me immensely. And then to have her say those things.
Well, maybe she just did and just said those
She
things
was
because-
teasing me, maybe.
Yes, that
I
could
hope
be.
so.
And then we were together in 6th grade.
Yes.
And it was Mrs. Dahlstrom, who was formerly Miss somebody or other, who was a
Yes.
very young teacher. The only young teacher we ever had.
Right. And she was kind of homely, I thought, looking.
I thought she was rather pretty.
I thought she was rather homely.
But she was very sweet.
But she was a lovely, lovely teacher.
Yes. And we had a lot of fun and got in a lot of trouble by the time we were that age.
That's for sure.
For talking too much. And writing on each other with ballpoint pens.
Oh, God.
We got in trouble not only in school, but our mothers weren't real thrilled with that one either.
I know. Well,
Yes. Well, this is our memory for this 40 years since our high school reunion, and we'll add to it the next time we get together.
Or for the next 40 years.
Or the next 40 years. That's
when
good.
we're 80,
80?
when we're 80.
We're not 40.
Oh,
Thank you, Catherine.
I think of myself as younger.
Bye-bye.
Bye.